folks, Samsung's Galaxy S26 family is shaping up to be a refinement cycle with a few surprisingly bold moves. Launch timing, lineup strategy, including a possible comeback device, an ultra redesign focused on ergonomics, a quiet but meaningful wireless upgrade, and the chipset plan likely to power most models. I'll flag what's rumor, what's likely, and why each piece matters if you're figuring out whether to upgrade. Samsung usually plants its S-series flag in January. This time, reports from Korean media point to February 25th in San Francisco. That's roughly 6 weeks later than the traditional window, and the rollout cadence sounds familiar. Pre-orders the same day, with deliveries a couple of weeks later. A shift like this usually isn't random. It often means final hour lineup tweaks, supply coordination, or simply a desire to own a quieter news cycle. For you, the practical takeaway is simple. If you are budgeting for a January purchase, push the timeline back a month and plan around late February/early March for a phone in hand. If you penciled in the usual trio S26, S26 Plus, and S26 Ultra, keep your eraser handy. Credible chatter says Samsung restarted development on an S26 Edge under the codename More Slim. That naming lines up cleanly with last cycle's S25 Edge codename Slim, which gives the report a nice ring of internal continuity rather than wild speculation. Just to be clear, this doesn't push out the Plus. The core trio S26, S26 Plus, S26 Ultra still looks set for February 25th. What's unclear is the timing for the Edge. Samsung could launch it alongside the main lineup, tease it and ship later, or hold a separate reveal, similar to how S25 Edge was handled. Marketing-wise, a staggered release would let Samsung stretch the S26 news cycle and give people one more size feel option to consider after the initial pre-order rush. Renders and screen protector comparisons point to a clear design tweak. The Galaxy S26 Ultra softens up versus S25 Ultra. Corners look less severe, the edge transitions appear smoother, and the glass seems to blend a touch more into the frame. It's not a radical makeover, more of an ergonomic nudge aimed at comfort during long one-handed use. Stack it against the iPhone 17 Pro Max silhouette, and Samsung still reads flatter and more squared off, which is part of the Ultra's identity and a good thing for fans of that confident slab-like look. The result is a device that stays recognizably Ultra, but should feel better where it matters, your palm and pinky. This might be the sleeper upgrade of the whole lineup. The entire S26 family is slated to adopt Bluetooth 6.1, likely making it the first smartphone lineup to ship with the newer spec, while most competitors remain on 6.0. That change won't light up a billboard, but it will make your day-to-day wireless life nicer. Two practical wins: stronger privacy. 6.1 tightens how devices advertise and discover each other, helping protect against unwanted tracking. A better efficiency. More work is handled at the hardware level, streamlining connections and reducing overhead. In human terms, faster pairing, fewer random dropouts, and slightly better battery life. Not just on the phone, but also on accessories that support 6.1. That's why the timing matters with accessories. Samsung is expected to unveil Galaxy Buds 4 Pro alongside the S26 series. If those buds carry 6.1 too, you'll feel the benefits immediately because both ends of the connection speak the same smarter dialect. On its latest earnings call, Samsung essentially confirmed the plan to use the Exynos 2600 across the S26 lineup in many regions. The unresolved piece is whether S26 Ultra standardizes on Exynos globally or maintains a Snapdragon option in some markets. Until Samsung says it outright, that's a wait and see. Meanwhile, about those wild Geekbench screenshots you may have seen on social media, treat the extreme numbers with skepticism. Claims like 4,000 single-core and 13,500 multi-core simply don't pass the sniff test. The most believable early read so far is approximately 3,500 single-core and approximately 11,600 multi-core at around 3.8 GHz. For context, Snapdragon 8 Gen 5 reportedly runs up to approximately 476 GHz. If Exynos is keeping pace while clocked lower, that hints at architectural efficiency improvements, which is encouraging, but synthetic scores are only part of the story. What actually matters? GPU performance, gaming, camera pipelines, AI effects, sustained performance under heat. Does it throttle or hold? Power efficiency, screen on time and standby drain, and thermals, comfort and component longevity. If Samsung nails those pillars, Exynos 2600 could finally move from good on paper to consistently good in real life. A reliable tipster has circulated a diagram of the base Galaxy S26 that claims a 6.9 mm chassis and about 0.3 mm thinner than the base S25 and a triple camera layout inside a vertical pill-shaped housing reminiscent of the Z Fold 7's design language. The eye-catcher is a ring on the back that looks very much like a built-in magnetic array for Qi 2 wireless charging. If accurate, this would be Samsung's first phone with full Qi 2 certification. That's different from EU Qi 2 Ready, which past models like the S25 series and Z Fold 7 carried. Ready means compatibility without integrated magnets. You need a Qi 2 case to get that snap-on alignment. Full Qi 2 with magnets builds the experience into the hardware. The phone auto-aligns on the puck or stand to charging is more consistent and efficient because coils line up every time, and accessory ecosystems, stands, car mounts, power banks become plug and play instead of hope it sticks. If you've ever babysat a flat phone on a flat charger, nudging it a millimeter at a time to hit the sweet spot, you know why this matters. Step back and the S26 generation looks like a deliberate iteration rather than a flashy reinvention, and that's a compliment. The slightly later launch should give Samsung room to tune the portfolio. A possible Edge model adds a sweet spot choice for people who want sleeker hardware without going ultra. Ultra itself becomes friendlier in hand without abandoning its signature look. Bluetooth 6.1 quietly fixes daily annoyances you actually feel, and the Exynos 2600 narrative is less about chasing peak bars in a chart and more about balanced, cool, efficient performance that holds up over time. So if the thinner base S26 with true Qi 2 magnets pans out, that's a genuine quality of life improvement you'll notice on day one with or without a case. On an S22 or older, this is shaping up to be a substantial step, stronger connectivity with fewer hiccups, better efficiency and a more comfortable in-hand feel, especially if you're eyeing Ultra. Waiting for February 25th pre-orders makes sense. On an S23 or S24, the calculus is closer. The Ultra's ergonomic shift and Bluetooth 6.1 are nice, but consider holding for real-world tests of battery life, GPU thermals and camera processing before jumping. Small everyday wins add up, but only if they're consistent. If the reporting stays on track, February 25th is your date for the big reveal in San Francisco, with pre-orders that day and deliveries roughly 2 weeks later. Expect S26, S26 Plus and S26 Ultra on stage, plus either a glimpse of S26 Edge or a promise to see you soon. Expect a slightly rounder Ultra that still looks confidently Ultra. Expect Bluetooth 6.1 across the board with tangible benefits when paired with matching accessories like the hoped-for Galaxy Buds 4 Pro. But if you've been hoping for a year of practical user-centered refinement over gimmicks, the Galaxy S26 story so far is speaking your language. Anyway guys, I will keep you updated. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.